Should the Miami Hurricanes be favored to win it all in 2025? Or should at least they should be... Gosh, I messed up there. Should the Miami Hurricanes be favored to win the ACC championship in 2025? Should they even be favored to win it all in 2025, or at least one of the favorites to win it all? I know that Cam Ward is gone and Xavier Restrepo is gone, and a loaded roster on defense primarily was wasted by incompetent coaching. However, what I will say is that they've recruited and developed at a high level at multiple positions. They've upgraded their defensive coaching staff. They play in the ACC, so strength of schedule is a benefit to them in the way that they're not constantly facing loaded rosters, so you aren't going to see as many snaps from your starters, assuming that Miami isn't going to play in a bunch of close games. And also, they're not going to be facing a bunch of NFL players week over week over week, so they're not going to be beaten up as much. And they do have talented players coming in through the transfer portal. And again, as we've already talked about, bringing in Corey Hetherman was a massive coaching upgrade at defensive coordinator. So I want to discuss Miami football and the Hurricanes today because I do think even with Mario Cristobal, who isn't a good game manager, that they have an opportunity to pop in 2025. And I think that starts on the defensive line. I think that starts on the offensive line, the lines of scrimmage. I think that starts with Carson Beck, the new quarterback of the future. I think that starts with their running back room, which is very talented. And I also think it starts at wide receiver, where they won't reload, but I think they'll do better than maybe some people expect them to. So let's talk about this. And before we do, I ask you to just like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and comment your thoughts down below. You know, we usually talk about Big Ten football on College Football with Sam, but the channel is named College Football with Sam because I like to talk about all things college football. So I'd really appreciate it if you're a Miami fan to like the video, to the channel, and also click the notification bell so that you can get notified when we go live Mondays and Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, or any other time we go live, or any other day. You'll get notified if you hit the notification bell. And also, if you want to support the work that I do here, please visit the links in the description or down below in the pinned comment. You can donate via my Patreon page monthly, purchase merchandise via my merchandise store, and represent the channel. And also, there's a link to my Discord server, which I highly advise you to join. Again, the link to that's in the description or pinned comment. Miami, I think, is an interesting case study because they're the only team that throughout the past several years, whether it's 2021, where they, had the 11th best recruiting class, whether it is 2022, where that recruiting class finished 16th, that was the recruiting class where Manny Diaz was fired. He was recruiting that class, got canned. Cristobal came in. They still finished top 20. Whether it is 2023, they were 7th in recruiting. Whether it's 2024, where they finished 4th in recruiting, or whether it is this recruiting class, 2025, they finished 14th. They're the only non-Big Ten, non-SEC school outside of Notre Dame to, in 2025 and 2024, not 2024, but in 2025, to finish in the top 15. In 2024, they were the only non-SEC and Big Ten program to finish top 10 in recruiting outside of Notre Dame, only one to finish top 5. In 2023, Miami was the only non-Big Ten, non-SEC program to finish top 10 in recruiting. So they are the best non-Big Ten SEC school in terms of high school roster talent. And Aaron Feld's an elite strength and conditioning coach. Alex Mirabal's an elite offensive line coach. Their wide receivers coach does a great job there. I think that they have good coaches all around at the assistant level. And now they have a great defensive coordinator in Corey Hetherman, tied with a great offensive coordinator in Shannon Dawson. So with coaches like Mario Cristobal, you can win big with them. I mean, we've seen Miami before win with like Larry Coker, who kind of looks like Darth Sidious, if I can say that comment and be respectful, but he literally does. And on top of that, he just wasn't a good coach. They won 10 games with Mark Richt, who at that point in his career was definitely on the decline. And then we've, seen LSU win a national championship with Ed Orgeron. And I think Mario Cristobal is a better head coach than Ed Orgeron, better head coach than Larry Coker. However, in order to do that, you have to have a lot of talent and you have to have elite coaches. I think Miami has the talent to win at the highest level. I think now they have better coaches to win at the highest level than they did entering 2023 with Corey Hetherman. But the question is, do they have, they have some of the best development? Do they have, some lightning in a bottle that, let's say, 2019 LSU had a bit? And has Miami developed and recruited and coached at a high enough level year over year over year to where they're stacking great seasons on top of each other? I don't know the answer to that, but I want to talk about Corey Hetherman and what his defense did in 2024. And then I want to talk about Miami's incoming transfer class a little bit and also what they should be returning entering 2025. And of course, this is very early. Not every person has transferred out that will transfer. Not everyone has announced that they're coming back that could announce they're going to leave. But still, I think it's healthy to look at this from an early view. But first and foremost, I want to look again at Corey Hetherman and the body of work that he has done. So on defense this season, Minnesota defensively was 10th in opponent points per game, allowing 18.3. They were 12th in opponent points per play, allowing 0.288. They were 17th in opponent yards per point. Opponents had to gain 16.3 yards to score a single point on the Golden Gophers. They were 12th in opponent offensive touchdowns per game, only allowing 2.1. And Minnesota, they were 6th in total defense, only allowing 298.3 opponent yards per game, and they only allowed 4.7 opponent yards per play. Now, to be fair, Minnesota did not exactly face a Titan group of offenses. They did not. For example, they kicked off the year playing like North Carolina, for example. Not a really good team. They played Rhode Island. They played Nevada. They allowed 31 points to Iowa. I mean, Minnesota this year had problems stopping the run. That got solved as the year went on. Like, they did a pretty good job against Wisconsin and Penn State, Virginia Tech, and Rutgers at limiting the ground game. But early in the year, they were pretty bad at stopping the run. They allowed 27 points to Michigan, 17 to USC, which was impressive. They escaped to UCLA, which a lot of teams didn't on the road, in huge part because of their defense. They held Illinois to 17. They held Penn State to 26, which Penn State finished the year, I think, with a top 10 offense, top 5 offense in terms of success rate that, scored points on Notre Dame's great defense, could have scored more on Ohio State's defense, scored in the 30s on Oregon's defense. And look, I think next year's going to be a really good unit. But they didn't face Ohio State. They didn't play that caliber of offense. They didn't play a Miami caliber of offense, for example. But still, Minnesota doesn't have a lot of talent year over year when you look at high school recruiting rankings and talent of high school, but they do a really good job of developing. And Corey Hetherman's defense, they were 9th, 10th in opponent points per game this past season. Last season, in 2023, they were 70th. And they changed DCs straight up. So when I look at Minnesota and the job they did this year, I think that hiring a Big Ten defensive coordinator and hopefully Miami allows him to change some things as he sees fit with the defensive assistants, I think that's a major upgrade. And I think that will be a big part of the reason why Miami, even with all their losses on offense, should be a much better team next year. I don't think Miami will have an LSU type year, in part because their schedule and they don't play in as tough of a conference, but also what they've done in the portal and how they've been hitting in the portal and some players they are bringing back, like Francis Mauigoa at right tackle, Matthew McCoy at left guard, Inez Cooper at right guard. I don't know if Jalen Rivers is off to the NFL or not, but he has eligibility at left tackle, and they've recruited very well. I mean, Samson Okunlola, for example, at right tackle. And they just, on the offensive line, Mirabal does a really good job recruiting and developing. At receiver, I know that they are bringing in C.J. Daniels from LSU. I think Sam Brown Jr. might be back Don't know about that exactly. Elijah Arroyo, I think, will be back. Cam Ward's gone, obviously, but Carson Beck, I think, will do a better job at Miami than he did at Georgia. He'll have better receivers than he did at Georgia, so he'll be closer, I think, to his 2023 self than his 2024 self. I don't know if Damian Martinez is off to the NFL or not, but I know Mark Fletcher Jr. is back, and he was a pretty good back, and Jordan Lyle was talented off high school. You look on defense, I think that they lose a lot. I think that Tyler Barron, Elijah Alston, and Simeon Barrow Jr. were not utilized properly this year. Same with C.J. Clark. But Ruben Bain Jr. is back. He was really good as a freshman, good again as a sophomore. Ahmed Moten Sr. is back. I see that Akeem Mesidor has eligibility, but maybe he declared for the NFL or not. You look at linebacker. Wesley Bisanthe is returning. And in the secondary, Zaquan Patterson, Markeith Williams, O.J. Frederique, and a lot of players there are going to come back, but also a lot of transfers are leaving. That's why Miami, for example, is bringing in Charles Brantley from Michigan State, who is a wonderful corner when he was healthy. That's why they're bringing in Zechariah Poyser from Jacksonville State, David Blay on the interior from Louisiana Tech, Emmanuel Carnley from Arizona at corner, Ethan O'Connor at corner. Again, we already mentioned C.J. Daniels, wide receiver from LSU. They're also bringing in Alex Bauman and Jack Nickel at tight end from Tulane and UAB, and James Brockermeyer at center to replace the outgoing Zach Carpenter. So this team entering 2025, I think, is going to improve in a variety of areas. Now, offensively, they will regress. I don't know if Miami will reach the college football playoff like they failed to do this year, and I thought it was going to be pretty easy for them to do with their schedule. They play Notre Dame opening week of the 2025 season. I think that makes their schedule, along with playing Florida again, tougher alone than it was this season. But maybe they'll be a better team than they were this season. We'll just have to see with Miami and Mario Cristobal where they go. Go Hurricanes. I am not someone who hates Miami, so I'm hoping that this team ultimately succeeds. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel, and also hit that notification bell so that way you can get notified when new content from College Football with Sam drops. I appreciate you very much, and also share the video around to others who enjoy the sport of college football and love it as I do and as you do, and comment your thoughts down below so that we can have a conversation, because I want to know what you are thinking. And join our Discord server where we talk college football 24/7 via the link in the description or down below in the pinned comment. Thank you to my Heisman Patreon members, Crash2488, Brasco Rascal, and Kylo OH. Thank you to my All-American Patreon members, Chris Lane, Ismar, and Tyler Nye. And thank you to my All-Conference members, John Lynn, Roaming Gnome, Matthew Sale, Austin Christmas, Joshua Jorgensen, and Will Loftus. Make sure to check out my merchandise store and or Patreon page, or super chat down in the comment section below to support the channel. The Patreon page and merchandise store links are in the description or down below in the pinned comment. I hope you have a wonderful day. It is December, so Merry Christmas and also Happy New Year. I will see you guys soon.